Hey, wake up, everybody. Welcome to the kickoff of the Gents Making Sense podcast. My name is Chris Baker, and I'm part of the podcast team with my brothers, Tony and Suleiman.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Tony, and we're gonna get this show started off right tonight. Okay.
Hey everybody, my name is Solomon, third person of the group. Let's get it going. All right, today's episode, we're going to do a little bit more digging into our uh, who we are, why we are the people that we have become, and how we got here. And then we're going to have a little discussion amongst ourselves, and then we're going to tease the next episode. But as I said, my name is Solomon. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. I joined the military in 1987. I served in the Persian Gulf War on an aircraft carrier. I transferred up to the DC area. I worked for Defense Intelligence Agency and the Pentagon for about 4 years. I separated from the military and joined the United States Agency for International Development. Some highlights in my career: I went to almost every country in Africa and served. I am currently the Deputy Coordinator of Emergency Management in Fairfax County. I manage a multitude of divisions within emergency management. And I am a 100% advocate for Black men and our successes. Uh, Thank you. Looking forward to talking to you.
Thank you, Suleiman. Again, as I stated earlier, my name is Chris Baker. I was born in Monroe, North Carolina, to, as you can see from the slide, working class family, blue collar, church executives, and community leaders. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree from Troy University in political science. I'm a 24-year veteran of the Air Force, and I also served in the Gulf War. I reside in Southeast DC. I'm involved in a lot of neighborhood councils and community councils and industry. And one of the highlights of my career is I was selected for White House duty under the Bush administration, and that expanded over to the Obama administration.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony. Like I said earlier, Tony Cox. I was born in Greenville, North Carolina. I graduated from St. Augustine's University in Raleigh, North Carolina, with a bachelor's degree in business administration, a minor in accounting. I also received a master's in human resources and public administration later on. I started out in the private sector, managing a Burger King, decided to enlist in the military. I served for 21 years. Uh, while I was in there for 21 years, served in several distinguished positions. I consider them distinguished positions. One of those positions is the United States Air Force Thunderbird Air Demonstration Squadron out of Nellis Air Force Base. We traveled around the world giving air shows. You may have seen them, the red, white, and blue airplanes that do the shows. I was also selected as administrative assistant to the director of Defense Intelligence Agency at the Pentagon. Once I left there, I went to another part of the Pentagon, the E Wing. We call it the E Wing. I was the executive assistant to the Secretary of the Air Force for about 2 years, traveling around the world once again with the Secretary of the Air Force. Left there, went to Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii, where I served with the four-star general there as his executive service. I ran his executive service. And my last job in the military, but the one I thought was most important, was Air Force First Sergeant. Uh, then later on, once I retired, I became a Air Force Junior ROTC instructor and events coordinator. So there we are. We got all of us in here.
All right, everybody, we want to talk to you a minute just about our vision so that everybody understands what we're trying to accomplish here. So I'm going to read the vision. Gents Making Sense vision is to provide a platform for news, government, politics, current events, and sports from a Black perspective, offering insightful and thought-provoking commentary that informs and educates our audience.
And this is our mission statement, as you guys can see. But I just want to go off script for a quick second. And the reason that we wanted to kind of give you our bios, like an overview or highlights of our career, is because the thing that was driving this entire podcast was we thought there was a vacant space out there, and we thought we needed someone to fulfill it. And when we started talking and we said, we have prestigious careers, all of us, and there's something that we can all add to this. And so that's kind of how we got together, how it evolved. And by knowing our background, it kind of adds, instant credibility to what we have to say and our thoughts. But anyway, the mission of Gents Making Sense podcast is to deliver quality podcast content that highlights our unique perspective and experiences of the Black community in news, government, and politics. As Suleiman said, current events and sports. What we want to do is kind of foster a greater understanding and appreciation of the Black culture while providing, engaging and informative discussions on topics every week. So that's our purpose. That's why we're here, and we hope that that you guys continue to tune in and that you enjoy the podcast.
Well done. Well done. Tony, you want to kick us off, or?
Yeah, I what we're gonna do now is kind of share some of our experience and some of our knowledge after giving you our background and everything. My career was not one that is a regular path that most airmen take. Most of the time, you serve your 20-some years. You go through, you go to base, doing the primary job you were selected to do. All my jobs, except my first job, was a special duty assignment, meaning I was either selected to do it by name, or I was selected through a process of selection. I'll take the Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds, when somebody asked me, did I want to be a Thunderbird? And I was like, well, what is a Thunderbird? And once they explained it to me, I was like, that might be cool. Flying around the world, meeting people, and doing air shows and everything. So I didn't know what it entailed, but I had to go through a selection process, worldwide selection process. And out of all the airmen that applied for the job, I was selected for the job. And so it was a lot of fun. We got to meet a lot of people. We got to spread a lot of joy. And I really didn't think, my first sergeant said, well, welcome to the Thunderbird. You're a rock star now. I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, you'll see when you go to your first air show. We went to our first air show, and here I am landing, and we got 25, 35 new cars waiting on the flight line for us. We got the mayor, the local politicians around welcoming us to the city and everything. And it was like, wow, what is this? And so the cars are yours, brand new cars. You keep them for the whole while you're here, So then we go to a 5-star hotel, and it just got better from there. And on the day of the air show, you get a motorcade to take you to the airport so that you're not held up. That's just one of the stories. I thought that was very telling for me to be a part of a rock star organization and stuff. So
wow. Go ahead, Chris.
Suleiman's thinking typical Air Force, red carpet treatment,
first class,
no grunge work at all. So yeah, of course, I'll go. So my career, it kind of started. It was something basic and all that. But when I got to DC, as Tony said, you get a chance to see a lot of high level officials up close. And the three of us, we served. This is where we actually met, was in the early 90s. We served in the Defense Intelligence Agency, but our component was J2, and it was a historical time because Chairman Colin Powell was the first Black chairman of the Joint Staff. He was in charge. He was all of our bosses at the beginning. It was great to be in that situation and get a chance to see him. And when he departed, we took photos with him, and I still have it on my wall at the office. Great leader, great person. But anyway, when I left that experience, it was kind of cool because I went and worked for the Secretary of Defense. It was Donald Rumsfeld at the time, and unfortunately, that's when 9/11 occurred. But some of the highlights of that time, I worked on his 24-hour comm center, and when classified briefings, like when the retaliation orders came through, and they decided what they were going to do, I actually had the honors declassified now, but I was told, because Condi Rice was the in charge of the National Security Council at the time, and stayed over in the Watergate Hotel, and I was actually the person that delivered that classified notification, and classified was protected back then when we served because
you didn't take it and put it in your garage.
No, she didn't flush it down the toilet after she read it.
Or in the bathroom.
Yeah, she had a grand piano. As you know, I think she's a classical pianist. So she had a grand piano in her living room, and she sat it on there and she read it, and she said, "I can't keep this, so I'm going to give it back to you." But anyway, she returned it. But it's just some of the highlights to interact with senior level officials like that. And as I mentioned earlier, when I left the Secretary Rumsfeld's team, I was selected for White House duty, and I went in under Bush, and I finished under Obama, 2 years under each. And I did a lot of things there, some military support with things like that. But the highlight of it was I was in charge of Oval Office operations, so you can kind of see one of the premier offices on the face of the earth. I was the one that coordinated the events for the military, not for everybody, but for the military side. So when there were farewells once a month or whatever, I did the operations for that, which was very cool. Got a chance to see President Obama, monthly when we went in and did that firsthand. Also President Bush. And we worked in the East Wing, the hallway, and that's where their first ladies worked. So we interacted with their first ladies and their teams every day. So just I was blessed to have that experience. And it's just, of course, one of the highlights of my career, being able to see that and being able to see the transition firsthand from one administration to another is something that a lot of people don't get to see up close. So just very fortunate in my career, a lot of experience, just like Tony and Suleiman. And I just we all want to just kind of give back and share some of our stories, give some of our experience. And that's the entire reason for this podcast, and just, show that positive image out to people that need it. That this was a void, like we said, we discovered it, and we just hope that we can fulfill it. So
Suleiman, before we let the Navy get in here,
exactly.
I just want to follow up on some of what Chris said. Chris is a little laid back. He had an excellent career. He was named one of the 12 outstanding airmen of the whole Air Force.
That's rigged. That was rigged.
That's the entire Air Force. That's the entire Air Force. So
yeah, we stuffed the ballot boxes.
Yeah, and I think I was up for that same award that year too. At least I made it to the MAJCOM level. I didn't make it to his level.
Impressive.
Yeah, so and then we had a good fortune of going to J2 together. And working for General Clapper now. Some of you will know him by his appearance on CNN and everything. To be able to work for what we used to call the top spy, top military spy, was something else. So sometimes, like Chris, you kind of pinch yourself and say, man, I was really there. This little guy from Greenville, North Carolina, is running with the big dogs, So anyway, Suleiman, go ahead and take it away and give us some of this swabby.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
I was going to say the Forrest Gump story, Tony, we just there, like, oh, we're seeing that firsthand. Yeah, okay, Swabby, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, similar to you guys, man. I mean, I'm from a military family. I always want to, it's not just me. My father, my uncles on both sides of my family. My brother was a Marine. My other brother was a Army. My father retired from the Air Force, but he initially went into the Navy. And, unfortunately, during that time, the Navy had a lot of discrimination and stuff going on. My father did 10 years in the Navy and then retired after 12 years in the Air Force. But me, I decided to go into the Navy. It's interesting that, I was a year early as far as my age. So when I joined the military, I was 17. And I went to my schooling in Mississippi, and then I went to Norfolk, and they flew me straight from Norfolk out to the ship. The ship had left about 2 weeks before. So I flew on a ship. I'm 17 years old, and I'm landing on we call them CODs, but basically a mail plane on an aircraft carrier. And I went on a 6-month cruise, a Mediterranean cruise. I always, tell my younger cousins and stuff that, I was 17 years old standing in the middle of Paris on the public phone at 17. Most people can't say that.
Yeah.
Our ship was part of my battle group was part of the Gaddafi missile attack that killed his son. That was from the John F. Kennedy's battle group. I was involved in that, as well as the MiG shoot down. That was our battle group as well. So my first 6 months in the military were incredible. So we came back. I ended up doing an additional cruise before I departed. Came up, and that's where I met these fellas in DIA. As a young sailor. Really, really love my military experience. I mean, I think it made me into what I am today. My father obviously was in the military, so I already had those principles, that discipline, having understanding what, having code means and things like that. But the military kind of leveled that out and, taught me work ethic and, how to accomplish things that you want to accomplish. So I'm looking forward to getting into some more of the stories and hearing what you guys did. But that's kind of the basic, my story a little bit.
Yeah, and even though we all kind of stress on our military careers and veterans, there's a lot more to us than that. But when you're a veteran, that kind of takes over everything. But we're dads, we're fathers, and we're involved in the community. We have some people also on this forum who are like coaches and things like that. Yeah. So we're very in the community and out there trying to make a difference. But I would like to mention that we also have Charles Roberts. He goes by Chuck. He couldn't join us tonight, but he'll be taking part in some of these podcasts going forward. And my cousin Butch Baker, he's also going to be part of this. He's heavily involved in 7-on-7 football drills and commissioner of basketball and things like that. And Chris Jones CJ is going to be joining us as well. He has a heavy schedule as now, so he may just be able to make special appearances. But there's about 6 of us. Probably 3 will be joining weekly, but just want to mention to everybody that there is an expanded team beyond the 3 of us. So
yeah, and we're regular people with regular jobs and different things that we got going on and everything. I think even though I'm partially retired, I think I'm the only one that can make his own schedule right now. So, and I brag about that a lot. We also have been, Chris and I have been part of a fantasy football league for Chris, about 18, 20 years now or so.
Yeah. Well, Suleiman is involved too, but he's normally in the basement and he travels overseas so much he can't update his lineup and roster and everything. So we sometimes overlook Suleiman.
Yeah, he don't have the coveted ring yet,
Yeah. And
Tony's the commissioner. Man, it's chess, not checkers, man. It's chess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we do something like that always keep us together and keep us sharp mentally. We have a texting group that we challenge each other daily on sporting events.
Talk about everything.
Everything. Yeah. So you have to do these type of things with your friends and your acquaintances to keep you involved in the community and everything. And as a junior ROTC instructor, once I retired, I got to shape the minds of young men and women. And I have some success stories, and they're all not success stories because kids today have a lot of pressures and a lot of things for distractions. So we'll talk about that later also.
No, that's good. I mean, we can get into all that. I mean, one of the things that I really, really enjoy about just, communicating with you guys is you learn something every conversation that you have. I understand that when I'm looking at you guys, I'm looking at this is what Black America looks like. That despite all the stuff you may see on TV and media, we are what really Black America is about. We grew up in the communities, in the 60s and the 70s, where the communities were one, that we're trying to get back to. So that's important to me is for other people who watch our content to get that impression and understand that there's an entirely different Black community out here that has built what we currently have, and that, you know, we want to get, we like to see a little bit of visibility on those type of people.
Yeah, good point, Suleiman. And when you kind of put all 6 of our lives together, you know, we have 300 plus years of experience and knowledge to share. And it was one of those things that we were in the text group, and like Tony and Suleiman said, we chat about via text about anything, whatever that hot topic is of the day. You know, we're watching news, we put it out there, everybody chimes in. Yeah. And we shared that with some people, and they said, you know what, you guys have a lot of insight on a lot of issues that a lot of other people don't have. You know, you should come up with a forum where you can share that, because people will be interested in that. And so that was what kind of spawned, again, this forum, and we just hope it kicks off. But I want to share a quick story. Said, because, you know, we're professional Black men, we need to look professional, so we won't be wearing a coat and tie every week, but for the kickoff we thought it was appropriate to wear a jacket. But I put on a tan jacket because when I was working in the Obama administration, he wore a tan suit, and a lot of people said that's unpresidential. He should, you know, whatever they can say to kick it. And then so he turned it, and he said, if you kind of Google it now, it's a tan suit fundraiser that has done a lot for the, you know, impoverished or underserved community. And once a year now, a lot of the communities, they will have like the tan suit day, and they fundraise and do things in the community to better it. And that all came from, you know, President Obama being ridiculed, you know, for wearing a tan suit, kind of like, you know, Chris Webber, when he called timeout, when Michigan had no timeouts against the great Tar Heels, he turned the Timeout Foundation into something positive. He said, I'm going to make this a timeout foundation represented by my mother and father, who were educators. And so, you know, just everything that seems bad, you know, the lemon up front, in the end, it may end up turning into lemonade. But I just want to explain the coat and tie and the reason for the tan or attire tonight. So.
Yeah, you know, that, don't you wish those days were back when the worst thing a president did was
right.
Exactly.
I kind of miss those days. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
This is kind of a funny story, military story. When I was telling you guys about, we did a cruise, so. Of course, you know, when you're on at that time, I mean, aircraft carriers are a little bit, they're a lot smaller than they were when I was in. But we had 5,000 sailors on the ship at that time. And, you know, you basically, it take you 2 or 3 weeks to get to Europe, because, you know, the ship's doing figure eights in the ocean. But we get over there, and, you know, we'd have days that you would get off. So there's A shift, B shift, and C shift on the ship. One shift would stay on, and then 2 would go out on liberty, which basically means you leave the ship all day and come back by a certain time. So I had a couple boys, you know, we all hung out. We're over there in France. And so, of course, you know, none of us are married at that time. So we're out, you know, chasing, you know, French women. And, you know, obviously one of my friends, we all meet some girls at a club, end up, you know, to go back to their apartment to hang out and stuff. But for some reason, I don't understand how, but for some reason, 3 of us, me and 2 of my buddies, we left and went back to the ship and left our partner there and didn't really think about it until we get woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning by our master chief, the E9 in the Navy. And he's basically like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, where is, you know, so-and-so? And we're like, oh, we don't remember. And he's like, well, y'all better get y'all's ass back out there and go get them. So 5 o'clock in the morning, we're getting off the ship, jumping on the train, going back to Paris, to the place where we left them, knocking on the door. So, of course, we knock on the door. Somebody comes to the door, and we're like, where's, you know, so-and-so? And he didn't want to come back.
No, I'm good. I'm good. He's
like, I'm good, man. I don't want to come back.
I'm going to separate from the Navy.
Yeah.
Of course, we say to ourselves, we're like, look, dude, you know, if the ship leaves, that you're missing the ship's movement, you're going to jail. You're going straight down to the brig, and you ain't coming out till we hit the States. So we had to drag this dude on the train back to the ship to get him back, man. That was one of the funniest stories, man. He's still a good friend of mine today, man. But, you know, when you're young, man, you do stupid stuff.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
You know, you get all caught up in stuff, man. But, yeah, that was pretty funny, man.
Chris,
I won't go into any.
What's the worst assignment you ever had, Chris?
Oh goodness, I'm gonna tell you what, man. It just because of the
Have
location.
you wait? First of all, have you ever left DC?
Oh yeah. Because
Okay.
I did some tours, like I said earlier, in the Gulf and things like
Mhm.
that. Anytime you're in a combat zone, that's the worst living.
Yeah.
But just as
Exactly.
far as CONUS,
Yeah.
I went to Hill Air Force Base in Utah, and it was great
Yeah, I
because
remember that.
I took up golf and I played with Tony when Tony was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Beautiful state, most beautiful
Yeah.
state in the union.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I was in Hill, it just wasn't. It's not for brothers,
Right.
Utah is just not, and that's why Dennis Rodman was flying to Vegas every weekend. But anyway, the good
Yeah.
thing about it was I had just taken up golf, and the atmosphere is so high there above sea level that my drive was like 300. It was never straight, but it was like 300 off the tee every time.
Yeah.
Right.
But so Hill was probably the people are always good, but as far as location, that was probably the worst. But I want to share a quick story about Korea when I was over at Osan. When I got there, they said to Suleiman's point, when you go downtown and do the downtown things, they say you never use your real name, so you got to come up with a code name to use. That everybody will call you when you're downtown. And I had no idea what I was going to be called. So I remember the episode of What's Happening when Rerun was recording the Doobie Brothers in the concert, and
Right.
the tape recorder fell out, and because he was chewing popcorn, it didn't go. But anyway, when he was at the police station, they asked him what his name was, and he said Belafonte, Harry's brother. So so when I was over there, I said my name is going to be Belafonte, and they said that's the last name, the first name. So I said Roberto Belafonte. So we'd be in a nightclub and everybody would be saying Roberto Belafonte when they get drunk and all that stuff. But when I left, we got into so much mischief. They said your new word going out is going to be checkered past. So you're going to leave all this behind you. So what's in Korea stays there. So anyway, just
Right.
another story.
Exactly. I think my worst was Clovis, New Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know anything about Clovis, there's no wonder. It was the only Air Force base that was ever considered a in-state, meaning in the United States, and you're considered a remote station.
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly right.
Yeah, you're considered a remote station. The closest city was about 2 hours, close to 2 hours away, and it was Texas.
Yeah.
I can't think of that city right now. I'll think of it pretty soon. But yeah, we were in the middle of nowhere, and you know that saying where ain't nobody there but steers and whatever.
Yeah.
When you get out there in that open road, you see nothing, absolutely nothing
Tumbleweeds.
except for cows, and you'll see a oil rig here or there. And I think Texas is the only state that got a speed limit for night and day. I don't know if they still had it, but they had a speed limit. It would be 70 at night and 60. I mean, 70 in the day and 60 at night.
Wow.
And I got pulled over for going 70. So, but I told them, I said that was the only speed limit I saw. They said, no, young man, you're not in DC anymore.
Mm-hmm. So, and the slogan about Clovis is, it's not the end of the world, but on a clear day you can see it from Clovis.
And the weather was at night it'll snow, almost blizzard like weather at night. You wake up in the morning, there might be about 8 to 10 inches of snow on the ground. And by 12 o'clock, the sun is shining and it's 60, 67, 68, 69 degrees. You just have brutal changes of weather at any time. And then the sandstorms come through and you can't see in front of your face during a sandstorm. So I made lemons out of lemonade out there. I made lemonade out of lemons out there. And I improved my golf game whenever I could play. And the people there were great. That the city supported the base 110%. But they didn't have apartments, y'all. They didn't have apartments. You had to rent from people that owned duplexes or their homes and stuff. There was no apartments. And the biggest attraction there was Walmart, Home Depot, and a buffet restaurant. That was it.
Yeah, I never had no things like that. Not when I was in the military, but when I left the military, because I didn't retire, and I started working, for USAID in humanitarian capacity. I mean, I was all over the place. I mean, literally, I'd be gone for a month, Sudan or Mozambique or South Africa or something, and then back home for a week, and then back out again. But a couple of really interesting things that my colleagues and I used to always talk. When you're dealing with people overseas, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind, or what happens in Sudan, stays in Sudan. So you get a lot of stories from people. But one of the really things that really touched me, that I carried away from that career, was I always felt at home when I went to Africa. I mean, and my colleagues were
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I always felt at home, and this is straight from my heart, man. And I tell people this all the time. I was the only Black guy, excuse me, in our communications team, but it wasn't an issue. But I was the only Black guy. But I went everywhere. I mean, I was always requested. I would go everywhere. And one time we were getting off the plane in Mozambique, right? And if you know that Africa, Mozambique is they speak Brazilian. Portuguese.
Yeah.
I say Brazilian. Portuguese. But anyway, so we got off the plane. You get off this plane, and I'm walking, and people say you hear it, but you don't really know. But Americans, we walk a certain way. And when you go other places, that people typically look at you before you open your mouth. They know you're American, because we walk. We take up a lot of space when we walk. So they knew I was American. And we got off the plane, it's me and about 4 or 5 of my white colleagues. And we got back to the hotel, and my colleagues like, what, Suleiman, I don't know what it is. I felt uncomfortable. And I looked at her and I said, welcome to our world.
Oh,
exactly.
And I said, that's how we feel every single day when we're in the United States. I said, so you're just getting a small sample of what we experience.
How did she react?
She didn't react negatively. I mean, most of the people who work in the humanitarian field are very culturally liberal.
Right.
They understand. Yeah. But it was her first time, I think, this is the first time coming to the continent of Africa. And, Mozambique, I mean, it's, there's not a whole lot of diversity in Mozambique. I mean, most people there are Mozambican, and great people. But she had just never experienced. So, you go to Dallas, you get off the plane, or National, it's no big deal. You're like, okay. But you get off the plane in Mozambique, I mean, their airports are different. It's kind of disorganized, type of place. People are very close to you. And, it just made her a little nervous. And I just told her, I was like, that's how we feel. Yeah. But, we don't have a choice. I mean, that's where we live. We have to make do there. But I just wanted to put that out there because it was very interesting. I mean, she's a very good friend of mine, been for a long time, but it was interesting to experience that with her.
Yeah. Our lived experiences that you're hearing right now is going to it better equips us to speak about different things, I believe.
And I think one of you guys, I'm sorry, Chris, I think one of you guys said at our last time we talked was, sometimes when you're doing presentations and you're talking to people and folks come up to you afterwards like, oh, you speak well, or you sound really, really well. And that's what our experiences have been, and going different places, hearing different languages, seeing how people operate gives you that experience.
Yeah.
Go ahead, babe.
No, I was just going to say what Tony alluded to, that we will be sharing stories like this, but we're also, our platform is going to expand. You'll be able to see us, interviewing, subject matter experts in that area, bringing them on, having Q&As and just discussions with them. And it will expand everybody's knowledge. It just not only benefits us, but the broader community. So, it'll be, different things we'll do. We'll talk current events. We'll share stories. We'll do interviews. It's just going to be a vast podcast that we hope is that format that people are interested in. And we're going to eventually get in a live forum where we can accept feedback and, try to polish this up and hopefully it'll benefit, the bigger community. That's our goal, as you saw in our vision and mission statements.
Exactly, and what we want y'all to do is to go to our YouTube channel, Gents Making Sense, and we'll share we'll share a URL with you towards the end of the show and everything. But we do have a YouTube channel, and we're gonna
subscribe.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, subscribe for sure, because we want to bring y'all some good content. And like I said, it's not just gonna be us. We got at least 3 more colleagues that are gonna be in and out co-hosting, and we will have special guests we'll try to have subject matter guests when we're talking about specific subjects and everything. So I think you're gonna enjoy it and everything. And we still got some more for you. For right now, we're going to take a quick break, okay? Okay, welcome back, everybody. We just told you some stories, and now we're going to try to put some pictures to those stories and everything. Just hang in there for us.
Back when he was young, flying on that bird to the ship.
I was a little whippersnapper at that point, man. That's my first picture out of boot camp. As you can tell, I was a little young whippersnapper there, but I always keep that picture, man. Just lets me, recognize where I come from, man, and what I looked like 30-something years ago. That's a good little picture.
Suleiman is a serious man, and you can tell he's been serious all his life.
Exactly.
All his life.
Yeah. My basic picture when I was smiling. Me and Tony were probably both smiling, but
exactly.
Like life's too hard to be smiling.
They wouldn't let us smile, man. They wouldn't let us smile.
Exactly. They don't want y'all to smile. They want us to smile.
Yeah, the Air Force, totally different mentality.
Exactly. And there's a younger me. There's a younger me. I'm accepting an award from Mr. Whit Peters. He's the Honorable Secretary of the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
I served under 2 secretaries of the Air Force. The other one was Dr. Whitnall, one of the first female secretaries of the Air Force. But Mr. Peters, I must say, was my favorite. This guy was something else, man. He was something else. Real quick, a story. When we were under Dr. Whitnall, when we traveled, I used to do all the travel itineraries and everything, and we set our food according to what time of day we were traveling. If it was early morning, we have breakfast. If it was lunch, we have lunch and dinner, so forth and so on. So when we fly with Dr. Whitnall, for breakfast, the only thing we had was oatmeal, apples, oranges, grapes, orange juice. Okay. For lunch, we had either turkey sandwich, ham and cheese sandwich, or whatever. And for dinner, we had another any kind of salad that we can find, and maybe turkey or roast beef. So my first meeting, travel meeting with Mr. Peters asked me, what are we eating for breakfast and everything? I said, sir, that's on you. You get to select whatever you want to eat on the meal. He said, okay, so how about some pancakes, bacon, eggs?
Let's expand that menu. Exactly.
Yeah. He said, for lunch, let's have a couple hamburgers and so forth and so on. And for dinner, we'll have steak, shrimp, and whatever else we can find. Okay. I was like, man, I'm going to enjoy this,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Bate, bring it up.
Well, no D-Rog, but the Secretary Sheila Wendell was just trying to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. That's we'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So as you guys know, as Suleiman alluded to earlier, we all do presentations, and in my current capacity, I'm still working, unlike Brother Cox. So I am a senior advisor in the federal government now, and so this was just a photo, no significance, but just one of the presentations that we give. I talk to small groups, large groups, medium groups all the time. We do presentations. We all were trained in the military to do those. We go to these leadership schools and academies, and we get that trainedness. And I still carry those things forward today. And so I was just sharing a photo of just one of the briefings as Suleiman has on his by you as well. We all do those briefings quite frequently. So, but no story behind that. But
No, I mean, I think that's a good story. I mean, I think,
Yeah, it's
one
always
thing's
a
in,
story.
yeah, I mean, I think it, Big mentioned it earlier, is that we know there are people out here that are similar to us,
yep,
have similar thought processes as we do, would like to see a different image of people who look like us to be out there. And we hope to do that, just to show people that you have options. These kids, when they come out of high school, there are options. All three of us came out of high school, went into the military, and end up leaving the military different people and more successful people. So that's an
amen,
option. You don't always
amen.
have to go straight to college. That is a good option, but the United States military offers you a different way. So we were just trying to explain some of what you can get out of that.
I've
Well,
always
Tony was did go straight to college, but he came out and he was that shoe salesman. He was like Al Bundy. He was like, I can't do this for the rest
yeah.
of my life, so I got to jump over and get into the military. So
Oh
like
yeah, I
Suleiman said,
mean,
all different avenues will
Yeah.
get you. If you're the heart driver, you want to be successful. No matter what path you take, you can always end up where you want to end up. So
Yeah.
exactly. I used to tell my JRTC cadet, there's probably only two ways you're gonna change your lot in life, and those two ways is go to college, get a degree, or go in the military and make a career out of it, be successful. The military will change your life immediately because you'll have what most people don't have, a career. You'll have benefits. You'll get to travel the world. You're if you play your cards right, your future is secure. Uh, you go into college, it's going to take a little longer, but you can change your lot in life with a degree. Those are good things I think to take forward.
and Tony, really quickly, if there's any military out there, that organizations that want to sponsor us on this forum, we're pumping you
Exactly.
up, so we
Yeah,
welcome you. So,
exactly.
yes, no,
Yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to represent, I think we're all proud of our military service. We're all
Yeah,
proud of
yeah,
our family's military service. So this is an opportunity for us to network with people that serve in the service, network with other people that are in similar jobs in us, and get a good message out to, society.
So
and to
just
that point, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
no, go ahead, Beck. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and to that point, Suleiman was speaking about, the black male image. We actually, Brother Cox and Brother Brown, we have already pre-recorded a very good podcast. I'll say it's probably one of the better ones that I've ever seen, that's in our library already. So we welcome you to go to the YouTube channel and type in, Gents Making Sense, and pull up that podcast. I think we called it episode 1 or episode 2, and it's the black male image. And I think you'll be very pleased with how that turned out. So we welcome you to do that. And then, please like us or follow us or whatever you need to do. We welcome that as well. And I'm sorry, Tony, please go right ahead.
No, all I'm gonna say, you hit the nail right on the head. The only thing I want to add to that, like us, follow us, subscribe. The subscriptions are very important, y'all. We want y'all to tell us how we do, and we're gonna try to improve every week.
Yeah, and then the next episode that we have coming up, considering that this is International Women's Month, we're going to have a couple guests on, and we're going to talk about some contributions that women have made to not only our country, but the world, and let those guests talk a little bit about their life and how their lives and how they got to where they are, some of the role models that they've used to get to their current place. So we think it's going to be an excellent episode. Would love to have you guys watch it, like it, and subscribe, as they said, and we'd really appreciate that.
And our plans, just a bit of housekeeping. We normally record these on Thursday nights, between 8 or 9. Depends on how good the producer is that night, what time it'll kick off. But we're eventually looking to go live. And as you said earlier, and get an audience in, and so you guys can interact with us and ask questions, and we can respond and share our knowledge. But anyway, that's what we're doing. That's where we're trying to get to, and that's where we are now. And like Tony said, subscribe and follow. We welcome that from you. So please support us.
Yeah. And we're going to try to have some live remotes also. We're going to go on site and talk to some people on site and everything. So we're excited about it. Anything else, Suleiman?
No, I mean, this was really good. I'm glad we did this introduction. You guys at least know our faces now. So we look forward to having these discussions. Some of them you may not like the discussion, and we may not say things that you like, but that's what it's about. If we don't talk, we don't get better. So work with us, join, talk to us, subscribe, talk to us about what we need to do better, and we'll get there.
All right. With that said, we're going to get ready to take it home.
All right.